News, World News Sunday. Substituting for Forrest Sawyer, here's Carol Simpson.
Good evening. Congressional budget negotiators work through the day on a new budget agreement, hoping to satisfy President Bush, win approval from a majority in both the House and the Senate, and put the federal government back into full operation before this holiday weekend is over Tuesday morning. ABC's Sheila Cast has been following the negotiations all weekend.
House Speaker Tom Foley is still angry over the president's veto of a stopgap bill that would have kept the government operating. But Foley told the House he would not continue to fight that battle.
I prefer, speaking for myself, to take the actions that will keep the government open, that will give an answer to the American people on how we proceed, that will put our priorities forward clearly.
To keep the government open, Foley intends to have the House vote soon on a new budget resolution. House Republicans and Democrats caucused separately to discuss outlines of a possible new agreement. It would make fewer cuts in Medicare, probably raising Medicare premiums $200 a year instead of $300. It would make slightly smaller cuts in farm subsidies next year and slightly deeper cuts in military spending. And it would leave it to tax-writing committees to fight over raising income tax rates on the wealthy in return for a cut in capital gains taxes. On This Week with David Brinkley, Vice President Quayle noted such changes might lose Republican votes.
Many in Congress, many of our constituency are saying, don't move this budget to the left. Well, moving it to the left means being less tough on spending.
I think the administration would have preferred the package we had last week, but I don't think that they will be offended by this package.
House Republicans don't like the Democrats' new plan. Some are scrambling to write one of their own. The disarray may push off a vote until tomorrow, just hours before the government shutdown starts to really hurt. Sheila Cast, ABC News on Capitol Hill.
This is Steve Shepard. So far, the major victims of the government's partial shutdown are tourists. At the Statue of Liberty in New York this weekend, even 5-year-olds had a solid understanding of what was going on.
Do you know why the statue is closed? Why?
Because the government doesn't have any money.
From the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, to Yosemite Park in California and Mount Rushmore in South Dakota, national parks and monuments are either closed or unmanned. But Tuesday, unless Congress and the President come up with some kind of budget agreement, furloughed and unpaid government employees will start bearing much of the pain of federal shutdowns. In Kansas City, one Treasury worker blames the problem on politicians in Washington.
Yeah, I'm very angry because, again, I think it's incompetency.
That view was echoed by a union official in St. Louis.
It's quite upsetting when you're talking about taking 22 days out of anybody's paycheck.
If the past is any guide, furloughed federal employees will eventually be compensated for the wages they lose while the government is shut down. But until a new budget agreement is worked out, thousands of federal employees will be without a paycheck. And for many, that will be extremely painful. Steve Shepard, ABC News, Washington.
Former American Nazi and Ku Klux Klan leader David Duke finally conceded that Senator Bennett Johnston beat him in yesterday's open primary. Analysts predicted Johnston would win, but did not expect Duke to capture 44% of the vote. Here's ABC's Mike Von Friend.
Thank you very, very much.
Only in Louisiana politics could the Democratic incumbent run with the full support of the Republican Party. Republican officials were desperate to stop Duke, so they called on the rank and file to vote for Johnston, and the strategy worked.
I'm here this morning to concede the election to J. Bennett Johnston.
Though he lost, Duke got twice as many votes as the polls predicted and won 60% of Louisiana's white vote.
We are going to build a political movement in this country to bring back the rights of the American majority, ladies and gentlemen.
The thing that really worries me about David Duke is there've got to be out there a lot of 35-year-old politicians who are watching his film clips, who are studying his propaganda, his techniques, and thinking, I can do it, and I don't belong to the Ku Klux Klan.
But like Duke, they may choose to belong to the Republican Party, and officials are clearly concerned. Vice President Dan Quayle tried again today to distance the former Klansman from the GOP.
But the people of Louisiana, as people around the country, are fed up with what they see going on in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, David Duke was able to capitalize on that.
He's already talking about a possible try for the governor's office in 1992. Mike Von Fremd, ABC News, New Orleans.
In Redondo Beach, California today, anti-abortion forces staged an ambitious demonstration designed to recruit new members to their movement. They're calling it the Life Chain. Thousands of people, each carrying anti-abortion placards, gathered along two major highways to form a human chain in the shape of a cross. When we come back, turning night into day for American jet fighter pilots in the Gulf, and later, some high-tech arm flexing aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery.
World News Sunday, brought to you by AT&T.